Thank you, everyone. Firstly, I would like to do an acknowledgement to the First Nations people. I'm actually not from the coast. I didn't grow up in this area. I grew up with people in the desert, so more around the Simpson Desert area, and I feel that the children that I grew up with and the people that I now know have had a lot of influence on how much I love the land that I work on and in. So I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And I extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in this room today. Thank you. So I'm Megan Willis, as Meg has already introduced me, and I'm a Beef Extension Officer with the Extensive Livestock Systems RD&E unit of DAF, and I'm based in Townsville. So I lead one of the projects that's funded by the OGBR that Katarina referred to. So our project provides extension support to graziers in the Burdekin, Fitzroy and Burnett Mary catchments. And that focus is for graziers to implement practice management that is going to improve their grazing land management, and the focus is often on ground cover and ultimately reducing that sediment runoff into the reef. So a key part of our role within this project, but not just in this project, but also in grazing extension in general, is to influence graziers to make a change to their management. And this involves a lot more than just making a management change. It actually involves working with people and having impact on various parts of a whole culture. And as Katarina was referring to, their values. So that's an important part of when we're doing our job. We're actually not just dealing with the technical aspects, we're dealing with a lot more. And as you know, change isn't linear, it's actually emergent and it takes time. And particularly we see this when we're working with people in industries like grazing, where that change is incremental and it's hard to measure, and we're actually not going to see the impact in the timeframes that we're often given to see that impact. And we're working with people, and I think that is the key thing, that is extension officers and as graziers, it's about people coming together. We bring together new ideas and then we're working towards adopting those ideas and making them into management changes. So in 2019, we had a longitudinal survey take place in the Burdekin catchment with graziers. And it reported that 77% of the graziers that were surveyed reported that service providers, including extension officers, are the most significant source of new ideas for their management changes. And we can leverage that. We can use that information to be able to provide a 5-star extension experience for the graziers we work with to enhance their adoption. By recognising that the change is not linear and that we are working with people, and to have change that occurs in relationship with people, with others. And that we as service providers, our key role is to bring people together with ideas and to generate new ideas. So with that in mind, I'm going to tell you about how we're doing that and how we are approaching the challenge of engaging with people and enhancing the management changes and increasing adoption of the activities that will provide that reduced sediment. So DAF's grazing extension practice. It's about having a practice framework for extension officers to work under so that they're working with graziers for the well-being of reef communities. By having a practice framework, which we actually haven't used in the past, it's to have a professional and consistent extension profession with confident and competent extension staff and working with graziers to leverage that impact that working with people has. And to talk about it more, I'm going to cover 3 things: the foundation of our grazing extension practice, how it is actually, how we have made it grazier centred, and the how that we're actually applying it. So the foundation for the DAF's grazing extension practice is actually the Queensland Extension Model of Practice, which is a model that has been developed for extension practitioners across all industries to allow for a consistent set of professional standards for extension officers to work within. It's evidence-based and it's informed by the key and core concepts and theories and elements of the extension profession, similar to how other people at professions like education or health have the core concepts that provide the elements of that profession. So the core elements that we work within this practice are about relational process, technical process, and the change process. But we also ensure that we consider the enablers, drivers, and external contexts that impact the work that we do as extension officers. So it provides a framework for implementation steps to give some consistency to how extension is applied and allows for a lens to consider different approaches to extension. And one of the key elements that is that it also provides something that gives us a reflective process to go back and look at our approaches and how can we improve on a regular basis. So the model of extension, the Queensland model of extension is farmer-centred, as I said, and it applies to all extension profession across this industries. And a key focus is about or in our case, graziers, but the producers being, and the extension officers being equal contributors to the journey that we're going on with them in their management practices. But in 2019, the longitudinal survey that we did with DAF and also supported with surveys and later data and literature, we've taken the information from that and provided the grazier's voice. So that is what sets it apart from the Queensland model of extension to make it our model of our practice framework to enhance the work that we do in grazing. And so the 6 principles, as listed on the slide, a key one is about activities being locally relevant. Also that there is that there is an advantage. What is the advantage from the current practice? So, and that's not just about financial. Often people think about advantage in financial, but that's also coming back to what is the cultural and the motivation of the people we're working with. And so that may also be a lifestyle or time advantage. The other thing is taking into account the specialists and technical advice that can support graziers in their work. Sorry, I'm just forgetting one. I need to check this slide. And also knowing what other graziers in their area are doing. But the 2 that are really key are understanding what people know their own business and that what they're working towards is they already understand it and have a lot of skills. So that the people in a place are the ones that hold the greatest wisdom to have the change in that place. And finally, that once a grazier makes a choice to make a change, that they are supported in that change. And that brings us to the how, and how this framework allows us to provide that support. So we can use this to give us a consistent professional set of standards for planning and designing extension activities. We can determine the most appropriate extension activity that we're going to use when we're working with people by identifying that we may have been working with someone and that a workshop is not the appropriate way to provide information with them, that they actually further in the journey of what they're doing on their business and they want more one-on-one support. And it can also be used as a diagnostic tool to work out why something may not be working. So for example, you may feel, an extension officer may feel they have a really good relationship with someone and they understand the business, but they're not achieving the outcome that they want to. So we can use as a consistent framework for the people to go back to, especially early career staff, and go, well, my relationship isn't actually as good as I thought it was, or I'm more of a friend. I'm not having the impact as a coach. And it's that diagnostic tool, which is one of the key elements that our staff are looking at it in. The other element that we use is for promotional material, to make sure that we're talking to the people and using the promotional material to engage from a people level with our flyers and our posters. And probably one of the most crucial applications for us is as a staff development. and having a consistent basis for relational, technical and change process to identify how to do our training with staff. Thank you.